Welcome to It's Beyond the Food podcast. I'm your host, Stephanie Dodier, and today I'm taking you behind the scene. If you've ever thought about joining our program, the Non-Diet Coaching Certification, but wonder what it's really like inside, you're about to find out. And find out not from me, but straight from my students that are in it right now. I've invited students from our current cohort number 12 to come and join me on the podcast. And for many of them, it was their first podcast. So congrats to them. They've done their first podcast. And I wanted them to answer question from you. Perhaps you, the listener of the podcast, but also my followers on Instagram. So on September 24 and 25th, which is just yesterday, and on Wednesday, I put up an open box for question that people on Instagram had for or about the non-diet coaching certification. And that's the question I ask my students. Although we were in Zoom, I want you to think a round table, each one of us having a coffee in our hand and just having open, raw conversation, unfiltered, about what they're learning, their growth, their challenges, and the transformation that they are experiencing inside the non-diet coaching certification. So I barely talked during this episode of the podcast because I wanted my student to shine and I wanted to hear in their words what they're experiencing inside this program. So whatever you're just looking in, you're ready, or you're just curious, this is the episode for you. So if you know that the non-diet coaching certification is for you after listening to this podcast episode, you should join the waitlists. So somewhere around this podcast episode below, there will be show notes and there will be a link for you to join the waitlist because we are enrolling early for the waitlist. So enrollment for the waitlist will be happening October the 11th and the 12th, and there will be special bonuses and events for early enrollment, and the general public will enroll on October the 13th with how many spaces that are left, because it is and you'll hear that in the podcast episode that's about to be attached right here. It is a mini group coaching. We keep the cohort very small so you get my undivided attention so that I can make sure that you are growing and you are achieving your goal. So early enrollment will help you secure your spot. Okay, you ready? Let's dive in. Welcome to the podcast.
Hi, everyone. Hi, Stephanie.
Hi.
Hello.
Okay. Let's go around the table and introduce ourselves. And I'm going to get us started with Norma, and then everybody will introduce themselves, and then we will go on with the question that people have for you for the non-diet coaching certification. So go ahead, Norma. Get us started.
Thank you, Stephanie. Hello, I'm Norma. I am an executive coach and life coach based in Mexico. I mainly coach in Spanish, and I'm transitioning to become a non-diet coach. So that's me.
Thanks, Norma. I'll introduce myself next. And my name is Sue. I'm actually from Australia, which means it's extremely early in the morning here. I work with ladies to empower them, to help support them step into their own inner strengths, and particularly of a more mature age. So I'm really excited to be here. Thank you.
Hi, everyone. I'm Elena. I am a weight neutral herbalist and soon to be cognitive behavior coach. And I want to work with women on their hormone health.
Hi, everyone. My name is Amber Gage. I am a healthcare professional currently and in the certification to become a non-diet coach and a body image coach, ready to help women break free from all the rules and body shame.
Amazing. I said to everybody before we started recording, let's imagine we're all sitting around a round coffee table. So I want you, the listener, to step into that table with us. I've got a few questions that were submitted from people on social media, particularly on Instagram. And we're going to answer and talk about the non-diet coaching certification that all the people on this table here are almost halfway through the certification right now. So I'm going to ask some questions and have a conversation. So I've got one from the get-go, and I know a lot of people are in that process right now of looking at the certification and wondering if that's the right fit for them. So I'm curious, when you looked at various training, various program out there, what attracted you and made you decide to choose the non-diet coaching certification? If you want to step back like 4 months ago, what made you choose our program?
Can I step in and share and being very open to having done lots of training previously and being very unsure about whether or not I would fit into this? The reason I stepped in, because it was in alignment with how I wanted to move forward, not only professionally, but personally. And I chose this because there was just this sense of safety that came across. And it's been confirmed moving forward as my participation that even though my background was not as a health professional, dietitian, any of that area, my background I have as a PT, the information was so relevant. It was so important for me, and it aligned with how I was thinking and feeling, more importantly. So that's why when I first saw this, there was just something that drew me to say, this is the right place.
Thank you, Sue.
I think for me, so I've been studying herbal medicine for the last 4 years at this naturopathic college, and there's just like a lot of talking about basically, in their view, like weight determines like everything in health. And it's just like, I really, really don't believe that. And I knew quite early on that I want to not include weight in my practice, but I didn't know how. And I remember I saw your Instagram page maybe half a year ago or something like this. It just came on my feed and I looked at the website, but I was kind of in this mindset, like not another training, like I just need to first start practicing and everything, and kind of clicked away. And then a couple of months ago, I saw you posting about the scholarship, and something in me was just like, I need to apply for this. And I just did it. It just felt like everything just felt so aligned. And I wasn't even aware of half of the things now that we're learning, how aligned like your course is with all my values. So yeah, it was just like a really quick decision where I just knew this is the right thing and I have to do it.
It's interesting that both of you is your guts.
Yeah.
You both followed your guts. It was a gut decision.
Yeah. Very much so, because I hadn't seen you until all of a sudden, Stephanie. You had not been part of my world at any stage. My world was a very different modality. I had spent quite a period of time working in a different modality. And then to shift into cognitive behavior coaching really was initially quite challenging to consider that I've spent this period of time in that world and how, not dismissing all of it, but why there was a missing piece. That's how I see it. So I had all these pieces, but something wasn't quite there. All of a sudden you turned up in my world. And being not an Instagram girl, I'm a Facebook girl, it came up and it just felt right because it matched with my passion that for women particularly, we have our own power. We just don't listen to it. And regarding our body, we just don't listen to it.
Yeah.
And to finally hear someone say that we don't all have to listen to the world experts, social media, they know better than us, felt not only affirming for me, but it felt really safe that I wasn't going to be judged, that I am working in, I'm a personal trainer, that I don't have to look a particular way. and that I can work with women and I don't have to look a particular way.
Hmm.
And that felt so safe. And it just felt so right.
That's a huge compliment. How about you, Amber?
But for me, it was the specific training on non-diet. I knew that I wanted to be a coach, but I couldn't choose another program. I did look at a couple other mindset programs, but it just was not specific enough to non-diet. I know that I did not want to teach what has already been taught out there in the coaching world. And even though they tell you, yeah, you can come, you can study anything, we're so, but it was just too broad. And I knew that specifically this program was going to help me develop the message that I know that I'm supposed to help women in the world with. So it was like the specialized training. And then once we got into cognitive behavioral coaching, to know that it's like helping to change the behaviors and we're going to another level with people, not in taking the steps to create the habits that change the behaviors and not just on the surface level. I knew that it was the right program for me. And in each call and each video I watched, something sparks in me like, you're in the right place. Like, you're like, this is so aligned. If you can sit and watch something for hours and you're like, yes, I'm putting this together, and you feel that enthusiasm in you, how I felt, then I knew that I'm in the right place.
Oh, thank you.
In my case, I have to say it was not a gut feeling because I was running around your business offerings, Stephanie, for like around 2 or a little bit more years. I've been participating in some of your master classes and enrolling in some of your mini trainings and looking at the coaching certification as the highest offering and and the
Yes.
top offering that you have in your business. And I said, well, one day when the time is right, I will be enrolling in this program. And even though I'm already a certified coach in terms of executive leadership, life, career coaching, I was wondering, this type of service requires a different set of competencies and different set of behaviors and mindsets. So some people ask me, why do you need another coaching certification to do this type of work? And I say, of course, you need this type of certification because it gives you tools that you may not have as an ICF certified coach or as a different type of certification, certified coach. It provides me, and I'm now confirming that it's providing us with this type of tools that I need to become a non-diet coach. So that's why.
Yeah, because for you, it's coaching a different circumstance,
Yes.
right? Right now, you're coaching / career executive people, where now you're going to coach behavior around health. So it's just a different circumstance. It's very interesting as receiving your feedback, even though we are together every week all the time, but seeing your perspective as to why you're here, it's very affirming. It's very affirming that we have a purpose in this world as an offer, as a company, and that the message, the content that I'm putting out there is what we also deliver behind the paid wall. Because that's one of the, for those of you who bought stuff online before, sometimes you are sold one thing and get a different thing behind the wall. But it sounds like for all of you, the experience was the same behind the paid wall. I got a funny question here. That's not funny, but I think it's going to be entertaining. So we've been training together for 3 months. What has most surprised you, or the most interesting thing that you've learned in the certification so far? One thing, or one concept, or one ideology, one principle.
Stephanie, I think the most interesting thing I learned was that however skilled I am in my area of expertise and the experiences that I've had and learnings I've had over quite a few years, is that this method that we are learning as a certification needs the wrong word, but we need to embrace it and do it with ourselves first. But I realized that having done other qualifications, you do it with an intent of doing it on somebody. but you don't necessarily apply it to yourself. And the difference of this course and the surprise for me is that we start with ourselves, our self-coaching, to understand ourselves first, because then we work with our clients and not do it to them.
Yes.
So that we ourselves in experience, we discover ourselves, we're much more aware of ourselves, and then we work with our clients. And I think that was really different. And it still is different as we work through this process.
I'm curious. I'm going to ask another question specifically because you answered that and you have other training. How, by learning through this different methodology, I have to do it to myself first so I can do it with other, has it given you a different confidence in coaching, different confidence level or impact level?
Confidence, yes. But I think besides the confidence, it's given me a much deeper awareness that I didn't know that I didn't have. So I didn't know what I didn't know. So I felt very confident in what I was doing, and I felt like I had my expression, all my ducks lined up, until I did this and started to experience the coaching on myself to realize what I didn't know.
Brilliant.
And so when I started doing this process, I felt quite not confident until I realized that this process allowed me to dig deeper, to become much more aware, to develop my skills, rather than here's a book, learn it, go apply it. So was I confident before? Yes, because I didn't know what I didn't know.
Got it. So who else wants to share something that surprised them or that favorite thing that they've learned?
So I come from a background of academia, and I really know nothing about business. And then once I decided I want to be a herbalist, I was like, okay, I'm going to need to learn on like how to do business and all of that stuff, and consumed business content on YouTube. And I was in this mentorship thing from my college. It was very capitalistic, just making this high profit and charge people as much as possible. And this mindset that just fundamentally didn't align with me. But I also felt like that's just because I know nothing about business, and that's just how business is run. And I think since working with you, I really learned that there is actually another way to have a business that is aligned with your values and still doesn't mean you're not going to make money. I can tell my nervous system feels much more at ease knowing that I can do it in a way that feels right for me and that is aligned with my values. And obviously, I did not expect that. That's not why I signed up to the course. But I also didn't know that you have this approach and that we were going to talk about it from that way. So I think all of it has been really valuable. But I think that for me, it's just such a big shift that I'm actually now much more excited about having a business, because before it just felt like I'm just going to be this clog in the wheel that I always criticize. So yeah, I think that was surprising for me.
Thank you.
In my case, I can say that what surprised me the most, Stephanie, was that it is a large volume of work involved in this certification. I was surprised by that because there's a lot of work involved, but at the same time, I think in your team makes it very easily to comply and to submit the lessons and the assignments, because you have different tools that make it technologically possible. For example, I was on the road during a few weeks of the program and I said, oh, I'm going to have problems submitting but no, I was able to do it. I didn't have my computer with me and I was able to do it on my phone. There's no excuse for not participating and complying and providing and going through the process, as Sue was saying, of living the program in yourself and also preparing to be able to do it for others. And yes, that was what surprised me the most. A lot of work, very demanding, a lot of resources available, but at the same time, that's not an obstacle or an excuse not to go ahead with the program.
And another thing, I'll ask this because many people listening are like in a place where they're struggling or they're still moving through their relationship to body and food. And I know for you that was the case. And a lot of the assignments were focused on growing, evolving, changing your own relationship to food. Did that change your relationship to the workload where you were working on yourself instead of a random other person?
I think that made it easier. It made it
That's
easier
what made it
because
easier.
I was the guinea pig, to say it like that. It made it easier to experience it on my own before suggesting or presenting it to a client,
Yeah.
a potential client. Trying the tools on myself made them more easy to understand and easy to test as an experiment.
And you're getting my input, which makes take your own journey to the next level as well.
Definitely, yes.
Do you want to add anything, Amber?
Sure. So I came into the program feeling like I've done a lot of work on myself, like personal development. I just thought I was good. I was in a really good space, which I was, but I discovered that there is more. There is more to get down in there and to really see about myself. But I love the fact that we've learned to hold ourselves with compassion during this process and not judgment. And I've become really curious about why are these feelings coming up or these thoughts that are coming up for me, and having the ability to actually sit down with myself and write it out and ask the questions, and knowing that the answer is already within me. Like, it's going to come up, even if it's not in that moment, just by getting curious, it comes into my awareness. So I feel like my awareness has expanded so much more. And even with myself being intentional about the things that I'm doing in my day to day, intentional about the thoughts that I'm thinking, as I know that I'm creating my reality. So I've become a lot more mindful in this process. I thought, I've read so many books, I'm good on this. And now I just feel like it's just another level that I've unlocked within myself of understanding, expanding, stuff like that.
Thank you. Okay, I got the next question. How is your confidence? And the person did not specifically say professional confidence, or just says, how has your confidence changed since the start of the program? So we can take it both ways, like confidence in yourself and your body and your skill set. How's your confidence change? And do you feel confident now?
I actually had this experience yesterday where I would say, in terms of my body, I wouldn't call myself confident, but I'm not insecure. But as I've uncovered, I'm just really avoidant. So I think that's how I've been navigating. But I'm not someone that's like really insecure, but I'm also not someone that talks about my body or my experience or anything. Yesterday, I was in a council and we were talking about transitions, and it just blurted out of me of this journey that I've been on and what it's like living in my body in a fat phobic society. And I said it with such confidence that I was a bit surprised because I didn't recognize myself. And then after everyone came to me, were like, oh my God, that was so inspiring. And yeah, I think before, like I said, I wasn't not a confident person, but I think I'm just realizing I'm owning being me and being in my body a lot more. Yeah.
Can I share this awareness that I have been open to? So I've spent a very large part of my life dieting to be thin. I thought I had got over that because now I am actually, thank you, Stephanie, I am now dieting to stay large.
We discovered that.
Yes. Thank you, Stephanie. And I had not realized that there is that side of me, that it is a bit of a rebellious side that is actually about controlling, because dieting is about control, to be the size that I am. And in my case, a larger woman. I have no problem being seen. I get on stage, I wear tight triathlon suits and lifting suits, and the being who I am, I'm very confident with. but I wasn't confident if my body changed and became smaller. And that was, if nothing else, out of this whole course, if I learn nothing else, that one piece of awareness is worth all of the time and the early morning starts and everything else. And it's given me confidence to go, I am who I am. Internally, I am not what my body looks like, large or small.
Thank you for sharing that. Because I'm just going to say, I haven't talked a lot. I'm just going to say 2-3 sentences. I'm going to say this: the power of embodying the work. Many of you talked about doing the work on yourself and doing the homework and all of that on yourself, is that we get to see 8 to 9 different cases, depending how many people in the certification. We get to see different cases that brings your awareness as a coach. Oh, there's all these different presentation. And what you just described, that rebellious to stay in a larger body, is a small percentage. But I'm so glad that we were able to explore it as a group, how people sometimes, quote, eat to stay in a larger body, and how confidence shows up differently in people. So thank you for sharing that. It allows me to share that. Because we work on ourselves, we see so many different cases at the same time. So thank you. Because we had a few people that came to our coffee table. We were chatting and we had 2 other friends come into our coffee table, Kate and Carolyn. I'm going to repeat the question we're working on right now, which is, how has your confidence changed since starting this program? That's what we were answering. Anybody wants to pipe in on this one?
I am Caroline, and I am a registered dietitian and have been so for over 30 years. My confidence has done a huge upward. The learning curve has been immense. So at the beginning, I would have to think about the next step, worry, am I getting it right? And now it just literally flows, that I can just do it off the cuff. I can do processes with my clients, with outside of my client work, and feel really, really good about it.
And what you were talking about doing was the coaching process. You can do it off the cuff with your client, right? Amazing. Anyone else?
Yes, I was going to say that my confidence has come from building safety in my nervous system for myself to actually be seen and to talk about these things in the non-diet world. Like, I feel like I'm talking about it a lot more. I'm ready to just express myself better the more I created that safety within myself.
Yeah. Being seen. Okay. So here's another question. What would you say to someone who is watching, I'm assuming watching my marketing, but is feeling unsure, that they feel not ready about joining the certification? What would you say to that person? And some of you were that person. How you introduce yourself from the beginning, you were that person. So what would you say to someone?
I would say that's exactly the time and the reason to start going. Yeah.
Was that you, Carolyn?
No, because I was sitting on the fence for a while.
You were sitting on the fence, and then
I
you
was sitting on the
decided
fence.
that this round was the round for you.
It came from a knowing, from just being fed up, like knowing there was a different way to approach it. And yeah, intuitively, I just knew it was the right time.
Again, the intuition. For those of you who are here since the beginning, intuition and guts.
For me, because the decision included a time constraint.
Yes.
The decision was, am I willing to get up at 4:30 in the morning twice a week to be part of this on top of my world and with the workload? And again, it was that safety gut feel. I didn't know what I didn't know. So I really didn't know what I was stepping into, because this was a very different world. So cognitive behavior coaching, intuitive eating was a very different world. And for people who are going, I don't know, it requires time, it's not my thing, and it's just another course, what I would say is that if it's coming to your awareness and you're thinking about it, then it's most definitely there for a reason. And in my case, the inconvenience sort of, but it's not, because I just embraced it to get up and be part of it. If it's coming to your world, then it's the right time to do it. And one piece of learning, because no one's talked about it, you pay whatever. And initially I was paying for the inconvenience. But that one piece of gold that I mentioned earlier has been so worth the early mornings, the extra work, and the cost. So I would say to anybody who's thinking about it, if you're thinking about it, then it's the right time to do it.
It created the motivation to come in your robe at 5 a.m.
Yes, I'm not wearing my dressing gown in the dark with everybody else asleep to be present.
Because everybody is watching. So today she's dressed up for you. Because normally she's in her robe with us with her coffee mug. So this is a very relaxed environment. So today she's dressed up for all of you watching this. Anyone else wants to add anything? Want to say or send a message out there?
I would say there's never really the right time anyway. And I think if you're considering it, then that feels something in you feels it's time. And I agree with what Sue said. I would pay like 3 times. I would make it work however I can, because it's just so worth it. The only thing I will say, because for me, when this course started, I was just finishing my herbal medicine, and timing wise, it's a lot of time that you have to invest in the course. So the only thing that I would say, if you're not sure if you feel ready, then do it. But make sure that you actually have the time for it. You're going to need time, not only to watch the videos and come to the calls and do all the exercises, but I think it needs a lot of mental processing as well.
Yeah.
And that was for me difficult in the beginning, finishing the herbal medicine and doing this. But since I finished and I have a lot more time, it's good. So I would say the only thing is to make sure to have the time. But I think whatever you can do to create that time, it will be so worth it, I think.
Okay, are you trying to talk, Kate?
I am, yeah.
I was seeing the lips moving. Can you quickly introduce yourself and then tell us your answer?
Yeah, so my name is Kate, and I'm a cognitive behavior therapist and a nutritional therapist. So I have been studying for years and years and years to find a solution that a lot of people are trying to find, and maybe women particularly, around weight management and this whole diet culture. And I was so relieved to find this course. It makes perfect sense. There is a lot of work in it. There is a lot of self-discovery in it, but it is the answer.
For anybody that's in the world of therapy, psychology, can I ask you a specific question? Because you said something a couple of weeks ago that would be valuable to help people understand if it's the right thing for them. We often come to this place where like people are worried about their limitation. Like, what's the difference between therapy and coaching? And you said something a couple of weeks ago where some of your clients are fitted for therapy and some of your clients need coaching. And now you have the skills for coaching. Can you talk to that a little bit for anybody from the same background as you?
Yeah, so when you're working in therapy, you're trying to help someone maybe understand or process past events or past traumas or, that their past life. But when they get to a certain stage, sometimes they don't have the skills or the self-awareness to actually, how do I implement this knowledge and how do I move forward in the future? And the cognitive behavior coaching is so fantastic for that because of the models that we're using and the tools that are being taught. So they actually can take that to the next stage and actually change their future, which is really what therapy is trying to help. But coaching then gives them that tool set to do so.
Yeah, and coaching for people, like if you're wondering the difference, is we work in the present towards a different future, where therapy works on the past to the present. So now we can move. We have a different intervention with someone when we coach. We push a little bit more, where in therapy, you don't push. You're not supposed to push to get them to process. Am I getting this right?
Yeah. And I mean, it is so important because they do come to a stage where they have reflected on their past sufficiently. They have an understanding. They now can appreciate how they got to where they are now. And then they need the bit of support to help them move forward to the future. And so it's great now that I have a couple of clients that I've been working with for a couple of years, and they're now in that position, and I now can take them to the next stage, which is great. And they trust me, and we have that whole relationship, and now we can move to the next level. Yeah.
Okay, we're coming to the end because I want to keep this short and palatable. I'm going to open it up. I don't have another question. We went through the question that was submitted and the question that I have. I'm just going to open it up to say whatever you want to say. So if I can go around the table, if you were to close this conversation, would you have anything that you want to share? I'm going to go Norma, and then I'm going to go around the table.
Yeah. Well, if you're thinking about enrolling in this type of training, it's worth it. It's a lot of work. It's very demanding, but it's at the same time very, very enriching for your own life and for, if your purpose is to help others, for the life of others as well. Thank you.
I'm going to ask a question I didn't ask. As you answer to me and I go around the table, there's an expression in Canada, and I think that state that says, getting our bang for our buck. Does that work in Europe and Australia? Yeah, okay. Are you getting your bang for your buck? And then closing note.
I'm going to share that, and I mentioned it before, that you pay to join a course. I came in with a certain expectation that I would, in theory, add some more intellect. What I have got, and I say this truly, I don't think you can put a price on it, is that personally, I paid for coaching. It's the step in my own personal journey. I have learned theory. I've learned how to apply it. I have gained so much personally. And for those who are wondering, I'm 67 and why would I continue to do this? Because it's so worth it. I feel so much better for it. So yeah, it's definitely been worth every cent, every hour. And I can't say thank you enough, not only to Stephanie, but everybody in the group who accepts me for all my things to come that I'm learning, because I claim in not being able to do lots of things technically and a whole range of things. So thank you, everyone.
And we had fun with it. Okay, Amber?
Yeah. So the certification definitely over delivers. It's a lot of valuable information that you get, not just from learning the cognitive behavioral eating and all of that stuff, but also business tools in there and handouts and forms that you can use with your clients. So it's really like a setup. It sets you up for success for your business. It doesn't just land you out there and say, oh, there you go. It's really taking it step by step so that we could be amazing coaches. And you can always ask a question and get coaching and get your answers that way as well.
Thank you. Elena?
Yeah, definitely got my bang for the buck.
I know.
Yes, definitely. Yeah, it's so worth it. And I was actually reflecting on this today when you put the 3 months integration in, and I was like, wow, so we're already halfway through. And I felt this feeling of sadness because I could just do this for so much longer because it's just so good and obviously difficult, but also so fun. I think it's so fun and I'm learning so much about myself, but I think also just being in a room with like-minded individuals, as much as that sounds cheesy and everything, but I think, or at least for me in my world, I don't have a lot of people that have, first of all, being in a fat body, but also just have the same values and that same understanding. And that is just so valuable to me, even just from that level. And then obviously on top of all the knowledge and the coaching and everything, it's just, yeah, it's if I could, I probably would do it all over again.
Maybe you'll join the alumni group after. We won't let you hanging.
Okay, cool.
Kate and Carolyn.
I would say when I first looked at this course, you quoted that it was transformational, and I thought, oh my, that's a big word. But here I am. It is transformational personally, and also to the clients that I have already been working with. So it's definitely worth every penny, because it's a fabulous certification.
And
Thank
I
you.
remember us having a consultation. I think you were the one I had a
Yeah,
consultation.
yeah,
You were doubtful. You're like,
Yes, I was that person.
yes,
Yes. I was making sure,
yes.
as I tend to do.
And
but
you
yes,
should.
Yeah. So it was very, 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 very worth the money, and definitely transformational.
Yeah, because you came from a weight loss background, right? So it was like, what the heck is all of this and transformational? And like, how can this be possible? And 3 months later, it took time and it was challenging, but you are on the other side.
Yeah, it was challenging, and it does turn a lot of the information that you've been taught on its head, which is very, very challenging. And it takes courage to actually take it all on and say, okay, am I going to look at it from a different perspective? But when you do so, it's worth it.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it is transformational. Carolyn, you want to close this off?
Sure, I agree with everybody, and I want to add a comment for the person who ever signed up for a course and fell off, and there was no coordination with the person who ran it, and they just let you fall off. Stephanie would not ever let that happen, ever. So for that reason, like the over delivering part, yeah.
Yeah. It's a small group coaching program. Like we get to know each other and there's no falling off because you don't disappear from my sphere without me wondering what the heck you are. So, small group for that. Thank you very much for everyone. For many of you, it was your first podcast. So we will be publishing that on Monday, and you will get to hear your voice on the podcast for the first time. And maybe some of you will be inspired to start your own podcasts. Well, that's a wrap of our student roundtable. If you saw yourself in any part of their story and you're craving this level of transformation, this new way of coaching that is aligned with your value, I would love to welcome you in the next cohort of the non-diet coaching certification, cohort 13. I can't believe this. More than 6 years teaching this program. The waitlisters, so highly recommend you join the waitlist. Waitlister will be enrolling October the 11th and 12th, and then we will open for the remaining seats for the public on October the 13th for 5 days. If you want the link, www.stephaniedodier.com/waitlist to put your name, grab your spot, and get early access. I love you, my sister, and I'll see you on the next podcast episode. Want to coach behaviors, not bodies? Learn the mindset tool and the method that create real changes? Join the waitlist for the next cohort of the non-diet coaching certification at stephaniedodier.com/waitlist. That's where the real training begins, and I'll see you on the other side, my sisters.